to Tank's next fight against Ryan, how does Ryan use his height and quickness against Tank, would you say?
Well, obviously he's got to be busy with the jab. I think Ryan's got tremendous heart. He's got the balls. He's a Mexican warrior. He got off the deck with Campbell, so obviously we know what kind of heart he has.
Stephen Coreno, Carolina Sports are here with the one and only Bob Santos. I feel Trainer of the Year, right? I believe Ring Magazine, Trainer of the Year. Congratulations on that, man. First and foremost, what was it like just getting that honor, getting that call, and knowing the people are seeing your work and getting the accomplishments?
Well, two things. It was a huge accomplishment, but for me as a little kid, I used to read Sports Illustrated, obviously Ring Magazine. Those are my two favorite magazines that I read as a kid, and to get Trainer of the Year in both magazines, to me, it was a huge honor, and for my family, you know what I mean, because like I said, my cousin fought in the 1956 Olympics, and so for my family being involved in the sport and things of that nature, it meant a lot. It meant a lot.
That's awesome, brother. That's awesome, and I feel like well deserved. You got a lot of fighters, Carlos Adames, Pulel, just a lot. I mean,
Emil
Carr, yeah, I was fighting on this card.
Yeah.
Man, undefeated guy. What are boxing fans going to learn about Carr this weekend when he fights on the card?
What they're going to learn about him, he does a lot of creative things in the ring. He does some things that you just can't teach, right? So he has some natural God-given ability, and what we try to do is just add a little bit to the toolbox, you know what I mean, and thank the good Lord for the talent that he has, the length and things of that nature. And he's very creative, but we settled him down a little bit, you know what I mean, and take round by round and not just always just go for the kill. And I think that'll pay dividends over a 12-round fight and so on and so forth. But he's a very talented fighter, and he could become the first champion in the history of his country in Uruguay. So he has a lot of determination to do something that nobody in the history of his country has done.
That's pretty incredible. I feel like you're getting a lot of South American boxers, right? A lot of Dominican fighters. Uruguay was there. Is there some? I don't know. Was there a reason for that? I feel like you have a unique niche in that group.
Well, I'm very fortunate. Like I said, my cousin fought in the 1956 Olympics. Obviously, he's from Puerto Rican descent, and so I've had a special connection, obviously, with the Latin community. I grew up in a completely Latino community in San Jose, California. So I understand the culture fairly well, and I've been blessed to work with Louis de Cubas Jr., obviously, who's Cuban, has a great connection with the Cuban fighters, and they trusted me to get these guys ready, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I don't know if it's confirmed, but I heard that Carlos Adames might be fighting in Minnesota. What is it, the 24th or something like that, against J. Rock Williams?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yes.
Awesome,
yes,
awesome. So that's a good fight. It's
a great fight. Great fight.
It's a good name for Carlos Adames. It's a good scrap. Carlos, I feel like, has really grown into his power at 160. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. He's definitely grown into his power. I think he's starting to reach his stride now. And we think, sky's the limit for him. He can do a plethora of things. He's got power in both hands. He's got great beat. Obviously, we'd like to get the Charlo fight. That doesn't look like that's going to be anything that's going to happen anytime soon for whatever reason. But that's definitely a fight that we want. So we'll see how that plays out with Charlo in June. I think he fights the 16th. We fight the 24th. So hopefully that could be a fight that we can do in the next one. We'd love to do that fight June 16th, but it is what it is. And I think Carlos is a special talent. I think he's going to prove out to be a pound-for-pound type fighter.
Why do you think it's not happening on the scene? Because you guys are just fighting, 2 weeks later or a week later or something like that, right? I mean, why was that not being able to put together, do you think?
Obviously, boxing is a sport, but like anything, there's a business side to it. And I can understand why they might not want to fight Carlos Adames. It's a very high risk, right? I know Charlos very well. I have the utmost respect for them. I think they're some of the best fighters in the world, but I think Carlos is a little bit different, and I'm not just saying it because he's my fighter. I really believe that he's a better fighter than Charlo. He's a more talented fighter than Charlo. And I think if they were to fight, there's no doubt in my mind that he would win. And obviously, in their mind, they think that they would win, but they have to know it would be a very, very ultra-competitive fight, and I think that's why the fight's not happening.
Maybe that's not the fight he wants coming off of like a 2-year layoff.
Especially that. Even if he has a fight in between, I don't think that's the fight they're going to want. I don't think that's a fight that we're going to see.
Wow, really? That you just really don't think? Because I mean, Adames is the interim champion, right? So I mean, something has to happen with the WBC.
You know, I just don't think that's a fight that we're going to see.
Wow.
I wish it was different for the fans, but I just don't see it happening.
It's a bummer to hear. I hope you're wrong. Just because I hope
me and you
probably hope you're wrong too. Yeah.
Sure.
Man, I want to get your take. Tank versus Ryan recently got announced. You were the last trainer with Garcia, Hector Garcia. What did Tank do that maybe was unexpected in that fight that Garcia just wasn't able to adjust to, or was it just he got caught?
I think, like in all sports, momentum is a mother effort, right? I thought we were winning the fight at that point. Again, maybe it's a biased call, but I think anybody, by any fair-minded people, would say, hey, the fight was very competitive. Could have been 4-3 either way, right? I thought we were having our best round in the 8th round. We hit him with a nice uppercut. We were starting to come on. I thought we had Tank a little bit gas. If you look in the 7th round, he's like, hey, what round is it? Wasn't sure what round. When he found out what round it was like, wow. You could see the look on his face. And unfortunately, I take nothing away from Tank. He did what he had to do. He won the fight. They're both in the same circumstance at the time. But when the fans broke out in fisticuffs and they stopped the fight, momentum is a mother effort. And if you give, anytime you give a puncher a timeout, per se, in the middle of a round, who can punch like that, you know what I mean? And you get a little cold, you lose a little focus, bing, and he hits you with a big shot, and it's good night, Irene. Then that's the difference that Tank can bring to the table. But all credit to him. They're both in the same situation. He took advantage of the situation that was presented to him at the time, and the rest is history. That being said, I hope in the future that referees understand, unless somebody comes into the ring, things are going to happen outside the ring, and we can't stop what's going on inside the ring for things happening outside the ring unless they get to the ring. And I don't think you should, so I guess that's a story for another day.
Right, for sure. Yeah, that was very odd, that fight that happened. Because normally you see fights in the crowd, but not.
Yeah, I was really perturbed at it because I was like, hey, man, they got to continue to fight. You can't stop the fight doing what's going on. But, he made the decision. He did what he did, and Gervonta capitalized on it. And he's a great fighter who's a puncher. You give him a timeout in the middle of the round, good night, Irene.
Right. Now looking forward to Tank's next fight against Ryan. How does Ryan use his height and quickness against Tank, would you say?
Well, obviously he's got to be busy with the jab. I think Ryan's got tremendous heart. He's got the balls. He's a Mexican warrior. He got off the deck with Campbell, so obviously we know what kind of heart he has. And I think the key factor in this fight is going to be Joe Goose and the strategy that he implements. I've known Joe for many, many, many years. I was in his gym for a long, long, long time, and I learned a lot from Joe. So as far as the strategist goes, I think he's second to none. You look at the fact of what he did with Chico Corrales versus Castillo, and the type of the way he guides a corner and that element. And I think, that being said, that could be, that could be what maybe turns the tables on this thing. I like Gervonta in the fight. I'm favoring him in the fight. But I'm not going to underestimate Ryan Garcia, and I'm definitely not going to underestimate Joe Goose and God in that corner and what he's going to bring to the table in that camp. So if Ryan beats him, upsets him, am I going to be surprised? No. But I still favor Gervonta in that fight.
I feel like Tank, especially in the last few fights, kind of downloads the information the first 5-6 rounds, you know what I mean, and then starts kind of picking his spots and walking guys down. Knowing that, obviously we all see that, so Ryan and Joe see that as well. Do you maybe switch the strategy up around the 5th, 6th round, if knowing that maybe Tank's going to do that, or is that just kind of you have to be in the fight and feel it out?
You know, you got to take it round by round, obviously. One thing with Tank is you can't lose focus for not 1 second. That's a mistake that Hector, I think, like what happened with the melee with the fans, kind of lost focus a little bit. We were controlling distance pretty good, and then he went right to the inside with him. You go to the inside with Tank, you know, big trouble, and obviously it turned out to be that. So Ryan's got to stay focused. He can't lose sight. He cannot lose sight of being focused. If you lose sight of being focused with Tank with one punch, he really can punch, and it can be good night Irene. He's got to stay really, really disciplined in that fight, and he's got to take every second seriously in that fight. And is he capable of doing it? I think so. And like I said, if there's anybody that's going to hold him to task, it's going to be Joe Goosen, because I know how he guides the corner. I've worked corners with Joe Goosen, and I think he'll keep him focused, and then it's just going to come down to controlling distance.
You reminded me, I know Hector had vision issues obviously that night. I want to say I saw an interview a couple days later was still having issues. He's 100% now, he's all good?
He's good as far as we know. He had a medical checkup and he's good to go, so we're just going to give him some time off before he gets back in the ring, and you know, and hopefully he learned a valuable lesson in that fight. You know, you cannot lose focus, not for 1 second, not with a puncher.
Right, yeah. Last one I want to get your take on, Bob, and a big one. David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant. It's a great fight, great fight against two young bulls. Do you lean one way or the other with that, and how stylistically does it look in the ring?
Well, I lean with Benavidez. I think it's going to be a tremendous fight. I think that both guys, no matter what, their stock's going to go up. I think Caleb will be, you know, in the early rounds, will be outboxing him, moving around. But I think David will sooner or later start to cut the distance. He'll figure out how to get into range. And if it gets at all into a firefight, you know, you got to like the guy who's probably the bigger puncher, the faster hands, the longer guy, and just is, you know, he's more adept at that kind of style, right, than Caleb. So Caleb, you know, to me, it's very difficult to box 12 rounds against a guy like that. You know what I mean? It's like I always say, it's like going for a jog, right? You go for a jog, it's not too hard. But when you have a pit bull running after you in that jog, you know what I mean? It changes the dynamic of everything. So we'll see how he handles that. But I like Caleb, and I like Benavidez, you know. But I do favor Benavidez in that fight.
Yeah, it's a great fight. It's a great matchup. Bob, thank you so much for your time, man. Any other fights you got going? I think
Puello.
I keep
Alberto Puello.
He's fighting Rolly Romero.
Yeah, he's fighting Rolly Romero. Yeah, that should be a good fight. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Good, man. You're busy. Busy guy.
Yeah. There'll be a main event on Showtime, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, where is that fight?
It'll probably be in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Here,
all right,
so,
then I'll be there for sure. But a home game for you too, which is awesome.
Yes, we got to keep plugging away, baby.
Yes,
plugging
sir.
away.
Thank you so much, Bob. Appreciate your time, brother. Thank you, man.
Thank you. God bless.